Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Um, there's just something that's kind of been bugging me the last for all day, and for the last week. I kind of tend to stay off Twitter and all that, but just some of the stuff I've been seeing there, and I'm just gonna flat out say I'm no elegant speaker here. But the one question I want to ask is, whenever a major news story breaks, why do we believe the sources that we believe? I mean, there's been news organizations, both sides, major and independent, that they've been proven false time and time again. There were like one story person I used to listen to a lot. I don't listen to him much anymore because I'm not a big fan of Rumble. I hate the setup, but I can understand why he went to Rumble, just because of YouTube's unfair policies and who they tend to target. Because I'm not even going to get into that, but at least he said, wait 72 hours to see if the story changes. But it seems, but then but if you go on Twitter after something major breaks, you look at all the top comments, and there's been several of them that I know for a fact that were false, you know, especially after the last mate shooting that was in Colorado. But there was ever, but the people were talking about previous shootings that were just lies, you know, and it almost seems like this is psychological warfare, to be honest, because people are getting at each other's throats over the littlest things, and we can blame them, and even I'm guilty of this too. I'm not. I am guilty of this too, but people want to keep going back to the past and stuff like that. Yes, we should learn from history, but also, I guess, who gives a shit? But also, I will say, my shit's not clean on this one here. My shit smells too. But people want to go, but it's always the same arguments. Well, they say, oh, you guys fly the Confederate flag. Who were the Confederates? They're Democrats. Well, technically that's true. I've used that excuse too, but then all I get back is, oh, they were conservative Democrats, or they were, or they switched sides, and and we don't. People don't use, but then you look at the sources too that they use. And you laugh at their sources, they laugh at your sources and all that. But we never ask, why do we trust this source but not the other? Personally, I don't trust Wikipedia or Quora because anybody can go in and edit them. But other people, well, they don't like this source because this person is very biased, which is true. But it all seems like we just go in a circle around the same things, and all the and people are going. You got one side saying we got to preserve the Constitution, which I absolutely think we do. It is a fundamental, brilliant document. But then the other side says we got to are systematically attacking our Constitution too. There, like, is our Constitution perfect? No, because if our Constitution was perfect, we wouldn't have had to amend it 17 times to include things. But over the years, we've had to make compromises by nobody looks at what was acceptable for the day. We can look back in history and go, oh, that was completely unacceptable. But if you look back in that day of history, it was acceptable all around the world. We changed, we progressed. But now, does that mean those people were bad people? No, because our future generations today are going to look back at us and go, Oh, and hey there, Indy, are going to look at back and be like, holy shit, you allow that? And it's like, but we're going to progress. That's the fundamental human natures. We adapt to the times, when change. Do we need to conserve some things? Yes, but we also need to progress. But going back to our sources things, they're they're why do people still believe a source that's continuously had to redact stories? Now I don't have no numbers on there, but I know MSNBC had to redact a ton of stories. New York Post had to retract a bunch of stories. CNN, I don't even know. No. Indy, what's bugging me is I started out the live stream with why do we believe the sources that we believe for information? I've been on Twitter too much this week, and I've seen a bunch of people believe in stuff that has been proven to be blatant lies. There, I'm not, and you know, and it's always the same talking points. There, it's like everybody wants, for example, in the most recent Colorado shooting, everybody's blaming the AR-15, and they keep blaming all these shootings on the. Well, no, and this one was used by this and this and this here and here. I'll even put this up here so I have someone I can bounce off of. There, but they keep. To me, that almost seems like they're sock puppet accounts, which has been proven and this has been proven by multiple sources. One of them, I'll flat out say one of the sources there was Tim Pool there, and I've heard it from a couple others there. But they're attacking they want to. It seems like a bunch of sock puppet accounts there are going after the AR-15. They want to get rid of it. Now, it's my humble belief we need the Second Amendment. That amendment there, or else we could easily fall into countries like China, the Soviet Russia, or even North Korea, because people do not pay attention. They believe what they want to believe. And hey there, Indy.
Hey, Gorilla. Yeah, I get what you're saying now. And like I say, common sense isn't often common and not very sensible.
Yeah, but like I was saying there is we've had numerous stories that have been proven false that all these different sources they go after it there and there and it seems like it's targeting our First and Second Amendment are getting targeted, which are there's a reason they're number one and number two. We our free speech uh, our free speech is being attacked. Are we going to hear things that we do not like? Yes, but that does not give us the right to shut down other people. And with the censorship, if someone says something outrageous and stupid, let them speak. That way we know that they're outrageous and stupid, versus shoving them into a corner of the internet where other people agree with them. Then they just get even more extreme and outlandish and stupid.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I actually quit Facebook because one of the things that I do is I listen to flat Earth debates, and Facebook shut down this flat earther. Uh, and even though I don't agree with him on the fact that the Earth is flat, because it's obviously not flat, I still agree with his First Amendment rights to say stupid stuff on the internet.
Yeah. And hello there, Simple Jack. Welcome.
So I don't know. I don't know how to really combat the censorship trolls. But they need to be shut down, and let
Yeah.
people have their say, and let people demonstrate their ignorance in a way. Because you're right. Otherwise, they go into these echo chambers, and all they talk to are other people who have the same uneducated. I should probably use the word uneducated opinions as they do.
Yeah. And see what also bugs me is the one side and gets fact checked 100 times more than the other, and I can almost, because like I don't know how many times Trump's been fact checked, and some of those a lot of the fact checks I've seen, I just seen, as soon as I seen it was a fact check, I knew that they're it must be true. They're just adding context to make them look like you're lying, because nobody will actually read the actual fact check. And 99% of those fact checks will have said, "Oh, it's true, but this is why we fact checked it." Blah blah blah.
Well,
like
and
who fact checks the fact checkers?
well, and that's an interesting point. And I found a news source that actually tells you. Hey, how you doing? I've found a news source that actually tells you the ratio of left to right to center. And so I look at that exclusively because you're right. CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, they're not interested in facts, and they haven't been for a long time. ABC, CBS, NBC, they haven't been interested in the facts for a long time. What they've been interested in is breaking the news story first, and mistakes, fine. We'll just, their whole attitude is shifted to, if we make a mistake, we'll make up for it later. But it's never, it's never heard by everybody that hears the original story that's incorrect in the facts.
Yeah. And see, another thing, and you can say this with, and I've seen this on both sides here, where they'll take a small clip or a screenshot of something, then they'll go, "Oh, this is this." Most recent example, they took that snapshot of Joe Biden looking through a window, those girls looking scared. But if you really look through the window, I'm pretty sure their parents were just saying that Joe Biden was walking by, and they go, "Hey, it's Joe, it's Joe, it's Joe." Like, "Hey, it's the president, it's the president." And he came up to the window just to wave at them, and they're smiling because they got to be on camera with the president. But then
Right.
the flip at the other side is, the one thing I keep hearing about is that incident, Charlottesville. I don't know if you remember Charlottesville.
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah,
The one where they're taking the statue down, removing a statue of, what was it, a Confederate soldier or something? And
Yeah.
there's protesters on both sides, but then you had the neo-Nazis. Oh shoot! 13 minutes in. But you had these neo-Nazis and some other group there show up, started causing problems, and someone ended up dying because of that. And people just keep saying, the people in the crowd there, they're very fine people, and they go on saying that he was praising the white supremacists and neo-Nazis and that. But if you listen to what he actually said, he says, "And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists. They should be condemned totally there. But there was fine people in the crowd on both sides. But they totally omit that part there, and they run on that."
Right, because they have their most of the left-leaning media has their agenda.
Yeah, but this is both sides doing it. There, I just gave an example for both sides.
Yeah, exactly. It's both sides doing it, but the right leaning media would tell it the opposite way.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there are both sides are equally guilty. But whoever's reporting it, they have their own they have their own tilt to it, to the story, and that's something else that's changed. You know, I'm 60 years old, and we used to watch Walter Cronkite, and Walter Cronkite, he reported just the numbers and just the facts, and that was it. There was no spin, there was no opinion, there was no op-ed to it. It was just, these are the facts of what's going on.
And the lies over the years have mounted up so much. It's like hard to tell what's the truth no more.
It is. It's very difficult. And like I say, I found the source that actually tells me who's reporting, what the percentage is of the left side, the center, and the right side.
Yeah.
So it makes to me, I have to do, you have to do that, or you have to read both, sides. Reading the newspaper. One of the things I used to do a lot, I don't have time for anymore, is read the newspaper. And you get much more in-depth information in the first place because they have the space to write these long stories.
Well, they're also paid per word.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And then you have multiple writers covering the same thing. But they all have their own way of reporting it. So you get more information. And that's something that I don't understand, why these 24-hour news sources don't take the time to give you like a 10-minute story. It's all, oh yeah, we're going to report on this for 1 or 2 minutes, and then we're going to repeat the same 5 or 7 stories over and over and over again. It's like, you have time to put 10 minutes into a story. You never do.
Yeah. And see, there's another thing that's bothered me. I must kind of sidetrack a little bit here. Is we never ask the same questions or the right questions. Like, we always want to go quick jump to conclusions there. But we never ask, why did this happen? For example, every mass shooting, it's always the same thing, same thing, and they go immediately jump straight. But they never ask, why did this person do this? Were they mentally ill? Why aren't we concentrating on the mentally ill fact? They go straight, blame the guns and take the guns out of the people's hands. But even if you look at it, some of the cities with the strictest gun laws, they're have the most gun violence by people. If they were following the law and obtaining those guns, they would have never been allowed to get a gun in the first place.
Correct.
By our laws.
Correct. Yeah. I think I'm going to get this terribly wrong, but Aristotle said 2,000 years ago, the only people who will follow the law are lawful people. Criminals won't follow the law. They're criminals.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that's been recently brought to a law is only as good as it can be enforced, or as people believe in the law. So if people stop believing that the law can be enforced, that they're going to stop following the law. Perfect example. Look at the speed limit. The speed limit's 55 on most roads. That's not the interstate or in town. How many people go 60 miles an hour? Because they know the cops won't be able to enforce the 55. They'll only go after the people who think they can push it a little bit further.
Right. Yeah. They'll go after the guy doing 70. Yeah, because he's doing 15 over or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
that's
quite honestly, somebody needs to, they probably have this already. They need to mount a speed camera in the bumper of the cop car and take a picture of the license when the guy's doing, 15 over, and send him a ticket. Because living where I live and having the worst traffic in the country, the most aggravating thing that you can see during rush hour is a cop having somebody pulled over for speeding. It just, because everybody slows down. And you're not even exceeding the speed limit, yet you slow down, and that just aggravates the hell out of me.
well,
It's like
that's
it's
because
like
it's required by law to slow down and move over for emergency vehicles on the side of the road.
correct. That I agree with, but you don't have to. But if you put the camera in the guy's bumper or somewhere on the cop car, they can just take a picture and send the ticket to the person. The cop doesn't have to pull anybody over at that point.
But I can also see the argument there. Go, well, how can you prove it was my car and not the car, a different car like in the other lane there doing the speeding that there? I can see that. How can you prove it was my car doing that?
Same way they do it with red light cameras and speed cameras that are fixed on the side of the road. They take a picture of the license plate.
Oh. Okay.
So you get a picture of the guy speeding because the cop is right there behind him, takes a picture that clearly shows the license plate, and then just mail him a ticket.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like that because I always get warnings from the cops.
Maybe you do get a warning. I've gotten a warning.
From a camera though.
Yeah, I was driving 35 on a 25. There was a fixed camera, and a few weeks later, I got a warning. So,
And see, but I can also see the problem is why is the person speeding though too? Maybe the person's rushing their wife to the hospital.
well, and that's true too. I mean, that is a possibility, but you can always call the cops ahead of time and say, "Hey, I'm such and such. I need a police escort to get to my wife to the hospital," or you can just call an ambulance.
Like perfect example. When I was, God, how old was I? Must be 11 or 12. I got stung by three wasps and all that.
Ooh,
I didn't think, I was young and dumb. I didn't think about it. I passed out twice on the way home, and when I got home, I just laid down because I didn't want to talk to my parents about that. It's one of those I just didn't. But later was supper. I took 2 bites of supper, and my parents knew it was a supper that I like. Every once in a while, my mom would make something she knew I liked. Every once in a while.
Yeah.
It wasn't hot tuna buns or tomato hot dish. If it was that, if it was that, they might not thinking might not have thought too much about that. But anyhow, so like an hour or so later, my dad calls me into the living room there. He was asking if I was feeling all right. And while I was talking to him, bam, I went down, smacked head face into the armrest of the chair there. And I will say that's the fastest. And then I kind of opened my eyes as soon as I passed out. I swear to God, that's the fastest I've ever seen my dad move. There was when I passed out here. He was checking to see if I was all right. We didn't think he didn't think too nuts about it. He just yelled at my mom. He was taking me to the hospital. Got in the car. boom, out flying down the road. He wasn't thinking, oh, maybe we should call ahead and let them know why I'm speeding in that.
Yeah, yeah. Understood. Yeah, it's a reaction. Sure.
Yeah, so if the guy's wife has to get to the hospital, he's not going to think to call ahead for a police escort. He's just going to say, boom, go, let's go. And then if he gets pulled over, he gets pulled over.
Yeah. No, I understand that. But anyway, yeah, there's definitely circumstances where having a cop pull you over may be a good thing. But in general, though, I'm thinking, if the cop is going to give you a speeding ticket, make it something that's automated where the cop doesn't actually have to pull the person over and disrupt, rush hour traffic.
Yeah. And Simba makes a good point. Red light cams aren't legal in Minnesota to give tickets.
They aren't?
Minneapolis got sued over this because the first day that they had them put in, they had 22 red light violations, and like 11 or 12 of them were cops without their lights on, and one for ambulance or a fire truck.
Oh wow!
And there's another one, but they got sued because they were taking pictures of the drivers inside the vehicles along with the license plate there to prove that who was driving.
Yeah.
And some guy got a ticket in the mail with the picture of him running the red light. And the person that was in the passenger seat wasn't his wife.
Aha.
Then they got sued.
Yeah.
So now, like, then I think they tried blacking out the license plates and that. And it was apparently now Simba might know more about this than I do because I don't live in the cities and that. But he said red light cams were struck down by our Supreme Court in 06 or 07. Okay. And plus, Mike Shriver says it keeps a cop safer too. If he doesn't, he's siding with you on that.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, why did you leave the chat too? I don't understand. You were here and then you immediately left.
But also in the another reason why they probably pull them over is so they can run your license there to see if you're actually wanted for maybe a bigger crime. Maybe you're a suspect in, like, say 8 bank robberies or something.
Well, yeah, and that stuff would come up so the way I'm thinking of it is the cop is there long enough to check all that stuff. He's got somebody in the past. He's got his partner in the passenger seat with him, and they run the plate, and that if it's just speeding, they can just take the picture, send the ticket, and be on their way. If there's something else going on, like reckless driving, or the plate comes back as a stolen plate or a stolen car or whatever, then yeah, you pull the guy over at that point.
Okay. And Simple Jack said Las Vegas had 10 red light cameras stolen. Someone found out that the cameras were high in Nikes. Yeah. Mike Shriver says it's a privacy issue too. If the other person isn't the one driving, they're not going to want themselves taken pictures of. And hey there, Captain Fandom Nerd.
Yeah, and that's the thing here where I live. You don't get your picture taken.
Yeah.
It's the picture of your license plate that's taken.
Yeah, but then they could go, hey, I wasn't driving, so and so was driving that day. How do you prove it?
Well, and I thought about that because I did get a picture like that. I did get a ticket that way one time, and I'm like, well, you may not have been driving, but you know who was driving your car. So it's up to you to get reimbursed from the person that was actually driving your car after you've paid the ticket, or get them to pay the ticket up front.
Okay. Says, yeah, I wanted to finish up. I'm cleaning some hinges and some door handles for my cupboards. I didn't want the water interfering with the sound. Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, well, that kind of reminds me. Some guy there, he let his friends borrow his car there, and they purposely flew past one of those red light cameras there, or not a red light camera, a speed camera there. They caught him doing like, what was it, 55, 60 in a 35, 40 mile an hour zone. And the
Yeah.
whole time they were mooning the camera. So he got just a picture saying that they were going so fast with a picture of his friend's ass on the picture.
Oh my God. Yeah, see, that's when you're like, hey, asshole, you got me a ticket and you have to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And Reason said, oh, Cinnabon says that's the one reason I think we got rid of the cams. Everyone claimed it wasn't them and it was clogging up the court system.
Yeah, and that's where the court says, hey, this is where, you're responsible for getting the ticket paid or paying the ticket yourself. That's where the court system doesn't get clogged up. It's just, hey, you weren't driving the car, fine, but you have to pay somebody has to pay that damn ticket. And if you need to get reimbursed by your brother or your cousin or your dumbass friend, then that's how the system has to work.
Yeah. No, but I still prefer the personal pull over, because there could be just a simple reason why they're speeding me. Maybe they'll let the person know, hey, your odometer's off, or hey, maybe this person's just running late for work. Hey, leave a couple minutes early. Here's a warning.
I knew somebody. This is how bad that gets, right? I knew somebody that as soon as they would get a speeding ticket, they would take their car to their mechanic and have their speedometer cable messed up so that they could go back in and they could get it fixed and go into court and say, oh, my speedometer was screwed up. Here's the repair bill. And they would get off.
How much would that cost them?
Because he's friends with all these people. It only cost him like $25 or $50 or something stupid,
Oh.
It was definitely way less than the ticket. And you don't even have to go into court. You just mail in the receipt, for the speedometer repair. So people have ways around this, people have ways to game the system. And so it's like you can't win.
Yeah. Someone says then we'd have to change the statute to say police can ticket a vehicle, not the driver.
Well, that's what they do anyway. That's what they do here. They're not ticketing me, they're ticketing my car.
No, they ticket our the person here.
Right, but here where I live, that happens. It's not, again, they take a picture of the license plate and nothing else. They get the back of your car.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that they can tell that it's your car. They can tell who to send it to because your license plate is registered with the DMV. So if it were my brother who was driving the last time I got a ticket 100 years ago or whatever, or if it was my sister or my cousin or my best friend, if somebody else was driving my car, I'm still responsible for getting that ticket paid. And maybe I have to get money from my brother or sister or cousin or best friend because they're the one who's actually driving.
Okay. And Mike Shriver said, when I was a kid, my father was an evangelist, so we drove all over the country where he preached, and a man stuck his butt out the backseat of a car and mooned us. They ended up with a flat tire. And hey there, pop culture.
I don't think you can count on that kind of intervention all the time. So
I did. I can. I a couple of years ago, I was heading up to the girlfriend's place at the time there, and it was snowing out real bad. The roads were getting real slick, so I was going about 35, 40 miles an hour, and some guy flew past me in his big truck there and flipped me off there.
Yeah.
There, half a mile down the road, he was upside down in the ditch.
Oh God. Oh, that's a little extreme.
For
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 just being flipped off, that's a
well
little.
for
Oh,
well the thing is, people think four-wheel drive you can drive faster. No,
oh, I know. I
four-wheel
know.
drive just means you got all four tires spinning.
Yeah. Here's the thing again. I live in the outskirts of DC, and traffic for my entire life, traffic in DC is the worst in the country.
I think
It's
that's
the abs
statistically fact. I think that's a statistical fact too.
Yeah, it is. I'm not saying that out of opinion. Statistically, Washington D.C. has the worst traffic in the country. And that's why I say give the cops the camera so they can take the picture and not have to pull somebody over. Out in the middle of Wyoming or Idaho or even in places in Virginia or Maryland, yeah, pull the guy over because traffic is nothing. But in DC and Los Angeles and New York and these other places, don't pull the guy over, especially during rush hour.
Yeah. Okay. And Mike says, "Oh no, it was amazing. It was so funny. It's like vengeance is mine. Say if the Lord I shall repay." And apparently he took vengeance on that car and that man. LOL.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like I don't think you can count on that kind of intervention to happen every time. And for you, Gorilla, being flipped off does not equal the guy being upside down in the ditch.
Now,
I
when
mean, if
you
he had spun out, yeah, that would have been fine.
no, he was totally fine because he was outside fucking swearing and kicking his fucking truck, so he was fine. But
Okay,
but
okay.
it's one of those you drive like an asshole. What happens?
You end up in a ditch by the side of the road. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And that happens here too. It's like and we're too far north and not we're too far north to where we actually get some snow and some snowfall, but we're too far south to where we have the levels of equipment that Minnesota has to deal with traffic. Because I've been to Minnesota, my nephew lives there. I've been there a few times, and in the middle of winter, and I see the little snowplow for the sidewalk. It's like that's amazing, And I've seen, the major roads just being clear as soon as the snow stops falling. Up there. So that's pretty impressive. We don't have that level of we don't have that level of ability to clear snow. We have some,
But don't you guys get the lake effect snow?
We don't because we're too far south, but we do get some pretty good snowfalls. When we get the Northern Express coming down from Canada.
But
like
are you talking about in Alabama? Alberta Clipper or polar vortex?
Polar vortex is what they call it here. So,
Okay.
but we also get the Alberta Clippers every once in a while too, I think.
Yeah. And hey there, welcome, Resolute Germ.
Hey, Resolute, how you doing?
Got yourself a ticket, did you?
A long time ago, yeah.
No, this is just what the conversation delved into. That's not what was bugging me today.
Right. Yeah.
I covered most of it in the first like 10 minutes, and then the conversation kind of delved away from that there. But India, one question I want to ask you there. Do you know what the difference between an Alberta Clipper and a polar vortex is?
Not really.
You don't want to know?
No, I want to know. I don't know what the difference is except spelling.
Well, like one's cold and one's really fucking cold.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Now we did like I served in the Navy in Newport, Rhode Island, right? And we got like all the cold coming off the ocean during the winter. And it cuts through you like a laser beam. It's that cold.
Right.
You know, that wind off the bay and off the ocean. Jesus Christ, that is painful.
Yeah. So is there something you wanted to mention there, Resolute?
No, just letting Indy talk.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
thanks.
I started off the stream. The stream was asking like, why do we believe the sources that we believe? You know, because I've been seeing a lot of wrong information. Like I've been spending too much time on Twitter this week. I've been having major Twitter fights today in between during my breaks. There,
those are always entertaining.
Yeah, but the problem is there's so much people believe that of stories that were presented, and then a couple days later, redacted, going, "Oops, our mistake."
Hey, Gorilla, I'm going to take off.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys haven't seen it, go check out my review of Forbidden Planet in the theater.
Oh, that was actually really, really good there, and I really liked your one. I don't know. Do I have you as a wrench, Andy?
I don't know if you do or not. Probably.
Yeah, because I was gonna say your one on do they earn a paycheck in the Federation? That's one of the most thought out ones on currency in the Federation that I've ever seen for whether or not they earn a paycheck or not. That's one of the most thought out ones with actual sources to episodes that I've seen in a long time.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I spent a lot of time on that, and I'm spending a lot of time on my next one, too. I gotta go through. I gotta pretty much binge watch all of TOS, because I'm doing one on. You know how people say there's not a lot of continuity in TOS? Well, I'm doing one that actually says, oh, there's actually some continuity from episode to episode.
Yeah, you got a wrench now, so if you ever come in, you can always put your links in now.
Okay, I appreciate that. So like one example before I leave, of continuity, right? Sulu is into fencing, right? We see that in season 1, The Naked Time, and then I think it's season 3, in The Day of the Dove, Kirk sends Sulu to retake engineering because all the weapons have been turned into swords. So it's like, okay, that's they're recalling the fact that Sulu is a good swordsman. And so they're using that from season 1 for the reason why he's being sent to retake engineering from the Klingons in season 3. So that's just one.
Okay. Yeah,
anyway,
I guess I never even noticed that, I guess. I guess
Yeah.
it's small things like that that make the show nice.
That's the thing for me too, right? It's like those little things that really make the show. Like in my Forbidden Planet video, it's like there's talk in the background, and that happens in real life in the U.S. Navy. You stand watch on the bridge, and you've got, I'm navigating the ship. We've got the officer of the deck who's in charge, the junior officer of the deck, who is the conning officer, and you've got like 3 or 4 of bosun mates or like first division, standing at various posts, and you have these little conversations, because you're not busy all the time, and that's something that rings true in Forbidden Planet, and it also rings true in Star Trek, because there's these little things that are happening. You hear them in the background, and that just makes it more real.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm taking off. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for coming on, AD.
Absolutely.
There.
Talk to you guys
Good
later.
thing.
It's on your right. I was on Twitter. That was my problem. But
That's not a problem. Twitter fights are glorious. Tearing into people, all the hate and vitriol.
see, and that's
Fun times had by all.
See, but that's also the problem I'm seeing it. We're getting torn apart by this. We're at the point where people are talking about peaceful divorce and civil war again, which
That hasn't stopped since the first one.
Yeah,
People
but
like to pretend we've been a nice, friendly union this whole time. Hell no. One group of people has hated another group of people to the point of wanting them dead ever since day one in this country.
Yeah.
Ever since day one of humanity.
Yeah. And Mike, it'd help if you had the right person. There wasn't Simple Jack who who had the Forbidden Planet review. That was Indie Tiger's Sci-Fi Reviews. He's at the top of the chat there. Simple Jack does Battlefield 2042. Yeah, but it just seems like it's getting worse and worse there, and maybe that's just the problem we've had with. Oh, there you go. Indy got it in the chat for you. Thank you, Indy. And but it just seems like it's just the internet too is just really expanding it too, and now instead of having just an hour for just the news and that. We got several 24-hour news sites, too.
The way I see it, the more you scream and yell and curse at people online or just wherever, the less likely you are to actually kill them.
Yeah, but I think it's also pretty... And I flat out retweeted this and said I thought it was pretty pathetic. We had a person who said they unfriended and... They won't even talk to their family members and their friends they've been friends with for years just because they voted a certain way. To me, I'd find getting information from a family member or friend I've been friends with for years would be more valuable than from some stranger on the internet.
Well, my question is, if you've known these people so long, you didn't have any idea they're going to vote a certain way?
Yeah, but I can still have a conversation with my cousins.
Yeah, but these people are acting all shocked, like, oh, you voted for Trump. I'm completely shocked and I can never talk to you again. They knew that person for 10, 20 years. You knew how they were going to vote a long time before Election Day.
Yeah, and plus, don't talk politics then. If it's that much of a problem there that you won't want to talk to them, then just don't talk politics. Talk like for example, I go on a couple live streams. There's us, we're all over the spectrum on where our beliefs line up, but we come talk dirt stuff. This is on multiple live streams. We get along because we all have a common interest. Then we just try to avoid politics if we can.
Yes,
so,
it's always
it's son
a
of a
good
bitch. I'm
idea.
gonna have. Hey, maybe I might get lucky and I have work tomorrow, or might be able to call in. 35-mile-an-hour winds and 5 inches of snow. I might get to call in. But anyhow, yeah, sidetracked there. But as soon as I seen that, I just thought that was the most pathetic thing. It's like, then instead of not talking to them, just don't talk politics with them. Talk about your common interests or the funny memories or the stories you've had. Play common games. There.
Yeah, but if you do that, the people who taught you not to talk to those people can't control you.
Oh, fuck them.
Because you notice the people who are actually saying, I won't talk to my uncle who voted for Trump or anything like that. These are all people on the younger side.
Like, that's another thing I don't understand.
They've gone to college and they've had it ingrained in them. These people are Philistines. They're the incarnation of evil. Associating with them is perpetuating evil.
Yeah, see, that's another thing I've seen this week too. Was some girl, she went to college and all that, and they came back, and her father's funeral, she just sat there and bashed her dad for just because he voted for Trump. She sat there and bashed him at his own fucking. Like, you don't see a problem with that you're sitting there bashing your own father only because he voted for Trump.
Yeah. They've spent years and years being basic. Honestly, it's brainwashing. Yeah. It's literally what the Reich did in the 30s. They are loyal to the state. They are loyal to the program. Your family, your church are at best secondary, but at most common the enemy. That's what you're taught when you go to a 4-year college.
Yeah.
I've seen this happen for the last, I graduated 2000, 19 years ago. I've been seeing it the whole time. Friends go off to the university here. Not 6 months later, you see them. It's like they're in a Nazi brainwashing camp.
Yeah.
Always gives me the set of, you remember when LaForge was kidnapped by Romulans and they forced his eyes open and they were literally beaming pictures into his head. That's the way I see them now.
Yeah, I remember that episode. But yeah, it's just one of those two, and it almost seems like though, why are we, just kind of asking, like, where did we go from being able to have a conversation and debate to just screaming, yelling at each other? We can't even debate no more. It's like all these people, they're sitting there, because I seen this, because I actually seen a couple interviews with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh man, she was fun to listen to and talk to on the podcast, and I'll say it was on the Tim Pool podcast, IRL podcast. They're having a conversation there. The one thing that really bugged me is, or this was Thomas Massey mentioned this. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene said it too. Is in Congress, there'll be like a dozen people in there. They'll bring up some bill for resolution. They'll just go, Democrats, yay. Republicans, nay. Okay, Democrats had it. It was Thomas Massey said he started saying, oh, we need a roll call vote. So that dragged everybody in there. and they'd have to go do a roll call. And then there's people on both sides that didn't want their name on the bill and all that. They'd all of a sudden change the vote, and they said otherwise. If they weren't there, it'd just be like just calling out whatever bill it is, going Republicans, yay, Democrats, nay. They weren't even doing their job. Half of them probably don't even know what the bill was even in the bill. And that's another thing.
That's probably being generous.
Yeah, that's another thing that really bugs me is two, that we get these big old huge 2,000, 3,000 page bills that they get the day before. They don't have time to read them, examine them, or anything. Yeah, and then they got to vote on them the next day. That's why Rand Paul votes no on a lot of bills, because he doesn't know what they stuffed in there. And like with the Inflation Reduction Act, there 99% of it had absolutely nothing to do with the Inflation Reduction. It all had to do with the Green New Deal.
They lifted pretty much page for page from the Green New Deal for that.
Yeah.
With a bunch more money added onto it.
And see, to me, that is a major problem right there. We don't, like, personally, if we could ever get a convention of states again, I would say one of the amendments should be that should be added on there is we should have like, I liked the one Congress's law that said that laws should expire after 5 years, because if it's worth renewing, if it's a law worth keeping, then it'll get renewed. But also, I think we should have in there that no law should be passed, or no bill in the House of Congress should be passed that does not pertain to the title of the bill. So,
well, a lot of those problems you'd see go away with term limits.
Well, that's another amendment I'd want to add to it. But that'd be a big game changer too. If we can make it so that no bill can have anything in it that does not pertain to the title of that bill.
I think they'd get that on constitutional grounds, because that's somewhat subjective.
How's it subjective?
Because you can argue that this in a way pertains to the title of the bill.
See, that's where they'd have to argue why to have it in there. Whoever puts it in there, they have to argue why it should be put in there.
And you're counting on the rest of Congress not to just say, approved. This may be the Take Care of Puppies and Kittens Act, but somehow, some way, another $20 billion for Ukraine fits right into that title.
On what title?
Save all the puppies and kittens.
Yeah, see, they'd have to
$20 billion for
justify it.
Ukraine.
They'd have to justify it.
And all they would do to justify it, there are puppies and kittens in Ukraine. That's as loose a logic as they would use for literally everything. And all they have to do is control Congress.
And see, this is just
not
like
even control Congress, have enough crooks on both sides, and bam, pushed right through.
And see, this is just a rough outline of the. It's the first rough outline of the idea of what to do if we had a convention of states. There, but can it still be exploited? That yes, but then they have to put a lot more effort into it. Instead of just shoving it in there, they have to sit there and come up with the justification that they can logically be argued in front of the people. And everything should be live streamed. And everything should be live streamed so that these people who sit so these big organizations have to sit there and watch and stuff to sit there and watch it. Everything, these committee meetings and everything in the House should all be live streamed.
You want to know the funny thing? About 2/3 of it is.
Yeah, but the committee
3 channels of C-SPAN, That
Yeah,
does
but
cover committee meetings, a lot of committee meetings as well.
oh, it does.
No one fucking watches that stuff. You get maybe a couple hundred political wonks on YouTube or people just at home that obsess over the stuff. 99.9% of the American people don't know, don't want to know.
Yeah, and see, that's the problem. We got too many people who don't care. See, they want to pass legislation to let 16-year-olds vote. I was like, why should we let people who have no skin in the game, whose biggest concern is whether or not they're going to get laid after the game on Friday night, be the ones deciding the future of this country? There, when they have absolutely no skin in the game. Hell, Kamala Harris said that they're the one thing we know about 18 to 24-year-olds is they're stupid as hell. Well, who's the people who voted the most for them?
Yep. Hell,
You
we should
know.
be retracting who can vote, not expanding who can vote.
Yeah.
The universal voting franchise has done nothing but destroy societies.
Yeah. And there's more. It's kind of funny when you go through some of these people that are doing on street interviews. Now, yes, I know the videos are edited to show the dumbest people, but those dumb people still vote, and they don't know a damn thing about what happened in the last 200 years of this country, let alone what's currently going on. There's a person who goes around. Was it Mark Dice, maybe? He purposely say this quote is attributed to this person, and they say it's offensive or that's not right or that, and they go, oh, like they say this is a Trump quote, and they'll go blah 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 blah. You go, well, actually, then after they talk about how offensive and stupid and outrageous that was, they go, oh wait, that was actually an Obama quote. Raise everything, voting, drinking, military services. Yeah, maybe. But there's who was it that was asking? Was it Rand Paul or was it Ted Cruz? Or it was one of those other ones. They asked Jerry Nadler, I believe it was, that well, since we recognize that people aren't mentally developed enough we recognize age limits for people who aren't meant for smoking, drinking, and all that. Would you co-sponsor a bill to raise the draft age from 18 to 21 also? And he said absolutely not. He pretty much said absolutely not. We need cannon fodder.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember seeing that one. I was like, did he really just say that? Like, well, he said something about we need the bodies, like instead of brains and all that.
Yeah.
Where the other ones arguing because they're not mentally stable enough to drink or smoke and all that. Why shouldn't we just raise the draft age? And he just said we need bodies. So in other words, he wants to use the 18 to 21-year-olds as cannon fodder.
At that age, that's basically what they're good for. Unfortunately. They're in shape enough to do the job, but not smart enough to question why they're doing it. They're ideal candidates.
Yeah. But I've been going for an hour. I still gotta watch an episode of the animated series tonight for a review there. Thank you, Germ, for coming on. And thank you, Captain Phantom Nerd, for coming in. You guys listening to me kind of vent and rant for the first 20 minutes, and then we just kind of sidetracked into conversations and all that. I might do another one of these. Maybe I'll make this a Monday thing or something, or we can just talk normally like this, talk our politics and get our stuff that's bugging us out. Maybe I'll make it let's vent about what's bugging us for the week thing. Maybe I'll do that more often, because at one point I had like 9 people in here too. It's kind of glad you guys came by to listen to us. Thank you, Captain Phantom Nerd. Check him out there. He does his morning brews every once in a while there. They're always fun to listen to. Indy pimped out his channel there. Mike, thank you for coming by. You always have a lot to say in this. You had some good stories in there in the chat, even if you couldn't stay on very much. Make sure to check out Cinnamon Bunny as he loses all his tokens in what's it called, General's Poker or
Governors of Poker.
Governors of Poker. There, he always comes. He has all these different packs he opens up and all that. It's actually been pretty cool cards he's been finding and all that. Thank you, Pop Culture Curator. Yeah, I got to watch an animated series episode here pretty soon to make supper before I go on his show at 8:00 as we talk about the animated series episode, The Slaver Master or something, I think it's called. I'm actually enjoying the animated series first time through. And I always got a token F for that one. A token F. Doesn't mean I give the episode an F. I just got a token F. Thank you, Simple Jack Live, for coming in and chatting a little bit. That was fun. He streams Fortnite and Battlefield 2042. He's really interactive with the chat. He's really good about that. I know there's others here, but they didn't leave anything in the chat, so I don't know who I could shout out here. Do you want to pimp yourself, Resolute?
Sure. Tomorrow night, Sci-Fi Tuesday with Farscape and Lex. Then Saturday morning cartoons every Saturday morning.
Yeah, so tonight I'll be on the animated series. Wednesday we'll do Stranger Things, their watch party. Thursday will be the review of the Carnival. It's the Waltons episode, The Carnival. That's episode 2 of the first season. And then no Babylon 5 this week because I'll be in the cities and it'll be way too loud and I'll be way too drunk to stream. So, but I should be back in time for us to do a Christmas Carol. I just don't know which one yet. So you guys have a good night and remember to be a gorilla.